WNT9 Talk Radio.
What's
King
up?
Henry, Dal Finley, Dal
What's
Divine.
up?
What's going on, my brother?
Hey, my brother, I'm happy to be here with you again and with the family. I'm excited. Today is a good day. We have some technical issues earlier, but we always push through here at WNT9 Talk Radio, man. We don't play around. We bring you folks the information no matter how we got to do it. So how you been, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I think I need to get me a technical degree or something, man. with, with all the things that be going on, and I know everybody out there that's doing broadcast, man. They go through the same thing. I hear it all the time. You know, so today's guest is just you know, it's just an amazing thing to have to bring in, the amount of information that we've brought in, and um, like I said, I'm vibing off of all of that, and I'm very excited about today's guest because
Absolutely.
we've had doctors and therapists on the show, but we haven't had this particular type of segment. So I'm excited, man.
Absolutely. She does have a lot of alphabets behind her name. Some of you may have seen the promo that we put out on Facebook and other social media platforms announcing her appearance today. And I'm just ecstatic to have her here. The
Mm,
pre production interview was amazing.
yeah.
She's a sister who has a whole bunch of knowledge and information, and she's been doing what she does at a high level for a very long time. But I'll let you folks meet her. So without further ado, let me introduce to you all Karima Cornelius Stith.
All right. I don't
Yes,
hear that
yes,
applause. Bring that applause in. There
yes,
you go.
yes.
There you go.
Thank you
All
so
right.
Yes,
much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
no doubt. How you doing, Sister Karima?
I'm doing well. I'm great. I'm excited about our episode. Very excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. As I was telling the folks, when we did our pre-production interview, it was just amazing all the information that you were able to provide and just the length of time that you've been doing this. Without telling too much, because sometimes I give up too much information. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you tell the folks about yourself and what you do.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on your platform. I think this is a great thing that you guys are doing. Just the name alone, love and unity, I'm passionate about.
Mm,
So I'm a therapist. I've been a psychotherapist for over 20 years now. It's daunting to think about it,
wow.
but I think it a blessing that I get a chance to do something that I love every single day, helping people be their best selves. And a few years ago, say about 6, 7 years ago, I started to focus mostly on intimate work. So I became a certified sex therapist. And it took several
Mm,
years to accomplish that goal because it's not easy. It's a lot of clinical work, a lot of education, a lot of clinical supervision also. Even though that you're a therapist, you still have to be able to be informed to help people with the information that they're bringing. So it's definitely not something easy that took years to do. It's like getting a second master's. I
mm,
don't think a lot of people realize how intricate it is to be a certified sex therapist. And including being a certified sex therapist, I got into the interest of anger management. So
mm.
I studied that also and became a certified specialist in anger management. So, tell you the truth, this is just my passion, love, and unity.
Well, I got tons of questions. I got tons of
Sure.
questions. I
Absolutely,
mean,
absolutely.
and I think I speak for the people that's watching and listening. Let's talk about this sex therapy. you
All right.
know,
Sex therapy is interesting, but I think a lot of people have a misconception about it. That even though we do talk about things that are very intimate, it's mostly about the intimacy.
mm,
People miss that. It's not about intercourse, but it's usually the intimacy, the emotional and the physical, and the barriers that keep people from enjoying that intimacy and the pleasure with
right,
that person, or not being able to express it themselves. Maybe it was past trauma or messages that they had from family or from their religious affiliation, and also from society that kept people back from really enjoying it the way that they should.
Yeah,
So I'm just helping people be able to express themselves in healthy ways.
that's a beautiful thing.
That's very beautiful.
So what kind of you know clients have you had? I mean, if I mean, do they are people just popping out asking you, questions, or are they like coming to you with like maybe like a problem that they're having, or like what is the approach for clients coming to you?
So it all depends. Oftentimes, when I study this, is because majority of my clients, they wouldn't come necessarily for sex therapy. No, they do, but before it would be another issue that is presenting, and
Mm.
then when we reveal the layers, then realize that there was some kind of sexual trauma in their past that is causing
Wow,
a present issue
wow.
right now. Or right now that I am certified, I've had people reach out directly for help, either couples or individuals who are talking about the emotional barriers. And that's one of the things why I wanted to talk about how resentment causes barriers
Mm.
in terms of intimacy.
Oh yeah.
Because if we are holding on to things, it presents a problem because then we are not able to trust. We're not able to feel close because we don't feel safe.
Wow.
And if we
That's
don't
good.
feel safe, guess what? We can't connect.
That's
Not
That's
facts.
deep.
physically, not sexually, not emotionally.
That's
Yeah.
deep. That's real deep.
And many people do, or many people are in relationships with a horrible level of keeping things inside.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
yeah,
They feel that's the way to keep the peace, but all
right,
they're doing is creating more distance.
yeah, yeah,
And what they're doing is just breaking down the true aspect of their relationship because we're supposed to be able to talk. And
mm,
I was talking to Daryl. Many people don't realize that anger, if it's well managed, can actually help their relationship become stronger. People don't
mm,
realize that. They're more
Yeah,
to
you
trust
mentioned that.
themselves than anything else.
yeah.
Tell me how that
Yeah.
works, Kareem. How does that work? Because we talked about that in our pre-production meeting. How anger can stimulate the relationship.
Anger
Dive into
stimulates
that.
a relationship because it gives you the opportunity to get your needs met.
Mm,
Think about it that way. It's just an opportunity. Because what anger is a natural emotion like anything else, just like joy, just like happiness.
mm,
Anger is a natural emotion that we experience, but it's also a signal in our bodies that something is wrong and that action needs to take place.
right.
So if you realize that something, a boundary is broken or something doesn't feel aligned, that this is what we need to talk about. Instead of SSS, which is sighing, silence, or sarcasm, where a lot of people become silent instead of speaking their truth and become
Yeah.
passive aggressive and be
Mm,
cold and pull away. We need to
mm,
be running towards each other to try to
mm,
get some clarity and try to connect to say, wait a minute, this is what's bothering me. Can we talk about this?
right.
But
Right.
oftentimes, because of a fear of rejection or fear of not understanding, they hold back and it grows and it piles up into resentment and it creates those walls.
Yeah. I've always been a very expressing individual. I've been told that I express too much, but
Oh,
I've been told that I'm controlling.
uh-oh.
But I realized, that I was working on me by
Mm-hmm.
expressing myself, because
Yes.
I feel like if a person isn't aware of exactly what I think and
Mm-hmm.
exactly how I'm feeling, then it's an injustice to that person. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
how can you produce happiness if you're
Mm-hmm.
not even in tune with, where I am? I may not need what you're offering in the moment. So,
Mm-hmm.
I express myself a whole lot. I think I'm kind of feeling right now like I can go lay on a sofa and talk to you right now. You know what I'm saying?
He got to sign up, man. I'm
So,
already ready.
Yeah,
so
but
King Henry,
yeah.
there's a difference between expressing yourself because it's important because your partner can read your mind. So I'm glad that you're not holding it in, but we have to make sure that we're not anger dumpers either,
Right.
that we're not saying things just to get it off our chest because,
Right.
well, I need to let you know, but
Oh,
then, oh
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
because what we're doing is causing our partner to walk on eggshells. We're
Hmm.
creating that emotional distance because instead of drawing them closer to us, they are withholding because they feel safer by staying silent.
Right.
So we
Right.
have to be able to kind of create a safe environment where they can feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and that you can also share yours so then both of you can collaborate and get
Yeah.
your needs met.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I love to have even with my children, we practice once a week. We practice freedom of speech, and
Mm,
they get to say some things.
whatever.
You you know what I mean? We do a 1 hour segment,
Hmm.
and I mean, it gets brutal as a parent because of course you don't want to. Some things you don't really be wanting to hear,
Yes.
as a parent. But you it's like I have to do it. I have to do it. I would rather them, be raised to this level opposed to
Hmm.
having all these things bottled in. You know, but I
That's
think,
commendable because, especially growing up in the societies at which we grew up in, that wasn't the commonplace. It was
uh,
children are to be seen and not heard.
yeah, hush,
So, exactly. No one was speaking to you. Know your child's place. So I commend that. But we're also supposed to be able to hold space for our partners too.
right,
So if
right,
they need a chance to vent, feel as if that they're not attacking you, but you're just giving them a space to talk.
yeah. Yeah,
A
I can't
space
I
to
can't
talk.
operate in a relationship that's not
Hmm.
brutally honest. Like you have to be brutal.
Woo!
You got
But
to
why
be.
does it have to be brutal? It could be honest and still tender. It could still be truthful and tender.
Nah, I don't want Tinder.
You what you mean don't want tender?
I don't want
Soft
Tinder.
don't mean weakness now. Soft
I
don't mean
want
weakness.
I want soft has its place. Tinder has its
Hmm.
place, but when
Right.
it comes to getting at me about how you feel,
Hmm.
nah, I want it raw. I want it hardcore. I don't want you don't have to sugarcoat it with me because I'm built like that. I can take it. I would rather it be all poured out than to be, letting a little bit out at a time. Like, no, let's get there.
So,
You know
so
what
I,
I'm saying?
I agree with you. We could be direct, but and if we have to fight, I say fight, but fight nicely.
Oh
Fight
yeah.
and still
Oh yeah.
still
Oh
hold
yeah.
hands. Still
Oh
be
yeah.
respectful. Still
Yeah.
remember that you still love this person and that we are trying to fight for our relationship, not fight against each other.
There it
That's
is.
always to
Excellent.
lock that in, that we are a team and that our goals are the same. Not to beat each other up, but for
Yeah.
us to get to the truth, for us to, walk away with a better understanding, to relieve the tension, and for us to be happier knowing that we can move forward together.
Those are
That
key
brings up an
words.
interesting point too.
Yeah.
Because King Henry, you said you like it to be direct and brutally honest. What about if your mate doesn't really isn't really open to that kind of dialogue? She's more of the kind that
Mhm.
wants it to be a little bit gentle and laid
Mhm.
back. How do you create and strike that balance?
Well, it takes work. I mean, both individuals have to. Like for me, I say there has to be like a conversation. There has to be, the concept of doing things before we jump in the pool. You prep. So prepping. Even when we used to pray certain ways in religion, there's a prep. You prepare to pray. You don't just go run and pray when you're doing certain things. So having a pre-conversation with your partner about what it is that you're about to dive into is very imperative. It's important. So I encourage people to speak and talk and set the tone so that and easily to your question is like I would let her know my my intentions, and I would ask her for her intentions, and then we got to get into that pot and mix it up. You know what I'm saying? So that there is a balance. Respect for each other.
Excellent.
So
Okay. I wanted to pivot into something that I noticed, Sister Karima, that you're involved in called building bridges.
Mm.
Talk to me about that and what what that is. I think you guys had an event on April the 12th, if I'm not mistaken.
We sure
So
did.
tell me about that event and tell me about the what's the core values and what's the end goal of that of building bridges.
So, Building Bridges is our signature series. We're all about connecting couples, making sure that they realize that we're trying to building bridges to connect and not walls to disconnect.
Mm.
And our event was our launch, which was sold out. It was successful. We were beyond excited. And all the couples that attended had one complaint that it was too short. So they asked, when is the next one? And we already have something in the work for the fall. We are working on Building Bridges in Touch, which it will incorporate a certified Pilates instructor to instruct the couples in a gentle stretch class.
Wow.
So, yeah, because it's all about the importance of touch. So,
Yeah.
we focused on strengthening our love with emotional regulation because it's hard for us to connect physically if emotionally we are in disrepair.
Right.
So that's
Mm.
one of the whole points is learning how to improve our intimacy on every level. Because remember, when told you about sex therapy, it's not about the intercourse, it's about the intimacy.
Yeah.
So we are definitely dealing with making sure that people feel safe so they can connect.
Mm.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about how people can get involved in that.
They can reach out to me. A new reflection for you at gmail.com is my email. My office number is 240-297-9143. And you could also reach me at Instagram at a new reflection for you. And every Wednesday, I post a Willing Wednesday post to encourage couples or individuals that they have to be willing to make changes to improve their relationship. So it's
Excellent. Yeah, you
all
took my
about your
second
willingness.
question. Yeah, that
It's
because
all
I was
about
going
your
to have you.
willingness.
I was going to have you speak to Willingness Wednesday. That's another thing that I noticed in your
Hmm.
profile and in my research of what you're doing.
Yes.
So I guess so. A lot of let's talk about this term called narcissistic,
Oh.
because that's something that is thrown around a lot. Talk to me about narcissistic behavior. How do you identify it, and what should you do if you find yourself in a narcissistic relationship?
So with narcissistic relationship, you just have to run. Everyone will tell you that they're. I think the term is thrown around a lot, but a lot of people don't realize in psychology it is description of a personality disorder. And typically, individuals who have a personality disorder are people who are beyond help.
Mm.
So the best thing that you could do is to save yourself and to when you identify that is to exit the relationship because there's no
Wow.
way of turning things around basically.
Wow.
When
I
it
didn't
comes to
know that.
oh, absolutely. When it
Okay.
comes to narcissistic personality individuals, they are putting you on a pedestal because they identify there's something that you have that they want. And once they get it or they realize they can't get it from you any longer, they kick you off and then they discard you. But you find yourself trying to pull that person back into your life after they have left.
Mm.
Wow.
So the best thing for you to do is to identify that this person is not truly in love with you, but are just trying to manipulate you and
Yeah.
to leave.
Wow, that's deep. See, I told you folks, this sister is definitely qualified to answer a lot of questions. And we spoke in the pre-production meeting, her and I and Henry. We're going to be bringing back segments with Sister Karima, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things as it pertains to anger management, sexual therapy, just the whole genre of things. We're going to put together a couple of series where we could do some short clips with her because the information, we don't even have enough time today to really dig into how much information is out there. But I do want to touch on one other thing you mentioned, the anger management piece.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
How do
Oh
you
yeah.
identify someone who might need anger management? And what are some of the tools that that person who is experiencing the anger management can take?
First, the person needs to realize if they're especially in a couple, if they're in a relationship, what are they doing that creates unsafe behaviors for themselves and also for their loved ones?
Yeah.
Another thing that they need to be able to realize is that, or the partner needs to realize, is that oftentimes when you see an anger outburst, it's because that person is scared of losing something. They're fearful.
Yeah.
So we might just see the person acting out, being loud, breaking things, but we don't realize that they're fearful of losing the relationship. They're fearful of losing respect. So, what it is that you could be more curious and more empathetic once you're being safe and not harmed, what it is that my partner needs from me, what it
Hmm.
is, because the anger that you're seeing, something is underneath it.
Right.
Something, there is just a symptom of them being fearful of something else, and they're not able to express their needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
I,
identifying what their needs are, but then it's also for them, the person who's displaying those anger behaviors, is for them to be able to be less impulsive, to change up what it is that they do.
yep.
Sometimes it's just being able to stop and think, to breathe,
Right.
to take a moment to collect themselves.
Right.
Deep breathing works beautifully. And sometimes in the heart of the moment when you're upset, they can't even think to deep breathe. But sometimes just doing different techniques. For example, I don't know if you go see my hand. See my hand. This is another technique that we typically do. Like, you open your hand a couple of times and then you have to stop and think. If you're doing this a couple of times, just kind of switch it up. If I open this up and I do this all the time, if I just switch this, it gives me a second to think. And if you're thinking, that means then you're not reacting because you're thinking. And that also helps change
Mm.
your reaction to just anger, because you have to stop and think and not just be impulsive.
I love that.
That's
I'm gonna
deep.
take that one. I'm gonna practice that one.
That's deep. You
I'm gonna
know,
practice that.
when you did this, we was taught that this actually helps lower blood pressure, so it makes sense.
Yeah, because when we're angry, you know what happens? If the blood flows to our hands to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
But really and truly, when we're with our loved ones, do we really need to protect ourselves? They
Mm.
want to love us too. We have to be able to truly identify what the threat is. And the threat is not our loved ones. It's just that we need to get our needs met. So we
Right.
need to express it. Not be silent, not, overreact, but to just share. This is
Mm.
what's bothering me. It's breaking the silence and also communicating your needs in ways that could be received.
Yeah. I'm loving the conversation and the technique. You know, I think that when we speak about anger management, me personally, I feel like every adult, should have it should come with being an adult, like part of a ritual where you have to go through a school or a class of anger management, just controlling our emotions. Um,
And that goes
emotional,
with the emotional regulation,
yeah,
realizing that we know that our emotions going to run high. But if we are able to soothe, so I always say self soothe with your senses. Think
yeah,
of things that, using what it is that you listen to. Is it music? Does your music make you more hyped up or relaxed and calm?
yeah.
I know for my husband and I, we like listening to gospel music. It helps create a very chill tone for
Hmm.
us.
Hmm.
If you like to dance, like I introduced this shake therapy in my women's group. And they loved it because it was able to release tension.
Right.
So get your body moving.
Yeah.
No, no, say that again. I'm sorry. Shake therapy.
Shake therapy.
Dive
Yes.
into that a little bit for me, sister. What does that actually mean? This sounds exciting and fun.
So the whole premise is the animals in the animal kingdom, you always see them moving, right? They're always moving their bodies, they're shaking, and they're getting readjusted. But as I guess we are not seen as we're humans, and we're a little bit more composed, right? And we are still so stiff. But oftentimes, if we allow our bodies to just naturally let go of the tension, just wiggle a little bit, right? It feels so good. Just let go and let your body
Yeah.
just release it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You could feel it just letting out.
Oh yeah, that's facts. You know what I mean? Get you down, get you one of them back scrubbers, man, and just
Hey, man,
you know what
I'm,
I'm
I'm
saying?
the interesting part of this whole interview is that a lot of these areas I may not be fully compulsively involved in them in terms of my
Yeah,
own personality and character, but I touch on a lot of these, anger management, the whole gentleness with conversation and communication. And I've
yeah.
been working on just being a better communicator in general, all across the board. Because
That's
Mm,
um,
awesome.
when I got my reading done,
mm,
it was talking about how one of my gifts is a communicator,
yep.
and there's good communication and bad communication. So I've been trying to work on that. But what I'm finding in this conversation is that a lot of this information is bits and pieces of it actually describe me to a certain degree. So I really appreciate it. It's definitely enlightening, which I'm not surprised. When I did the pre-prod, I knew that this was going to be an enlightening conversation. So thank you again. I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about was I saw some stuff on Facebook where you were involved in another event. It was a podcast or something to that nature that you were recently on. Tell me about that.
Oh, that was the Melanin Wellness podcast with Corey Dunn. Yes, that
Right.
was an
Okay. Yeah,
awesome
I saw that. That
opportunity.
was pretty good.
Thank you.
You've been amazing at this platform, and you've been doing this now for how long? You mentioned? Did you mention
20
that?
years.
Wow.
Wow.
See, it took me back, brother, because I was like, nah, no way.
20 years looking 20, right?
Yeah, I was like,
Hey,
nah.
thank God.
I almost
Baby's
asked for a birth
Maybelline.
certificate, man. I said, you gotta prove this to me because I can't see this.
That's that
But it
island, man. That's that island blood,
yeah,
man.
Hey, that's
it's
it. That's
Caribbean
it.
life, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been one of those things that we talked about was getting you back in on some segments and some short clips and things of that nature. So what are you working on? What can the people look forward to coming
Wow.
down the pike from you and your team?
I think that that's such a great question. There's a few things that I'm working on. Last month, I was a guest speaker at a marriage summit. I was
Mm,
honored to speak on Touch Talk Trust. And I was presenting, I created a workbook and I handed it out as a companion piece. And my
wow.
husband and one of the other therapists said, Krima, your workbook is so good. This is something that you need to really put out there for the masses to be able to help them with their intimacy. So that's something that I'm working on right now is to expand the workbook and to be able to release that in the near future. And I'm also working on an online course to help individuals who are dealing with infidelity and betrayal. So that's something that's also in the works. And next month, we're doing a webinar. So we're doing a webinar for the individuals who aren't able to meet with us in person for building bridges called Connection Clinic. So there are a few things that are happening on top of the Chapters of Love book club and also the building bridges that's going to be in the fall. So there is always something great that's coming from New Reflections on top of seeing a full load of clients every week.
Mm,
Wow, you're a
wow.
busy woman, busy woman. But it's cool because there's a lot of people, and I'll include myself in that conversation. A lot of us could use this information and this kind of help. So, once again, tell the folks how they could reach you.
Definitely. You can reach me by email, a new reflection for you at gmail.com. It's all spelled out. And by my office line number, 240-297-9143. And also, social media is a great way to reach out to me too on Instagram at a new reflection for you.
That's
Beautiful.
awesome. That's awesome.
Beautiful. I did have one last question, but I think it's past, the time has passed. You
Oh,
know,
Go
no,
ahead.
you
Come
could
on with
ask
it, man.
me.
Come on
Come
with it. Come
on.
on, man.
Come
We got
on.
time.
no, a lot of people that step up to the plate and offer advice, relationship advice, and
Hmm.
things of that nature. Many of them are single,
Yes.
and so it always leaves an angered individual saying. I always see the comments online and stuff. They say, how you gonna tell us what to do, and you ain't even you ain't even married. You're not even in a successful relationship. So you know, considering that you're married,
Yes.
do is there any resistance from you being a relationship specialist, a therapist? Like, does your husband have moments where he was like, don't you work that on me?
Of course, of
That's a
course,
beautiful question,
of
brother.
course. Good thing he's not hearing the question. Of course, especially in the field. My husband is supportive, but then he wants to remind me, I'm not one of your clients. You can't use that on
That's
me.
right.
And we had the honor and privilege of attending a marriage retreat,
Mm,
and we loved it last summer.
wow.
And I asked the host, I said, what do you say to your partner when they're being resistant? And she said these words, and I think it was just beautifully said. And I've said it before, and I've never had any resistance since then. So I hope it doesn't backfire now that he's hearing me say this.
Uh-oh.
She said, um, when she's talking to her partner and he doesn't want to hear her, he said, she asks him, if you are driving in your car and you heard a noise and you're driving in your car with a mechanic, would you want your mechanic to stay silent?
Mm,
Mm,
Mm.
interesting. Interesting.
I
wow.
said, ooh.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
she
That's
said,
very
after
interesting.
she said that, she hasn't had any issues. And I've used it myself and I haven't any
Wow.
issues with any resistance.
I'm gonna
So
write, I'm gonna write
if
that
you
down
have
right quick.
if you have an expert with you and they are identifying red flags or things of points of concern,
Yeah.
are we going to ignore it or are we going to pay attention because
Mm,
we realize that this is a danger zone and we shouldn't want to let it get any further?
right.
So it's the whole point is not about being silent, but it's about really talking up because silence is a relationship killer, not
Mhm.
only emotionally, but also sexually, because it creates
Oh
a
yeah.
wedge and a wall. So let's warm up, let's talk, let's break those walls down and connect.
Mm. I love your
Well said.
compassion for this. That carries over. I think every message needs to have the fuel, and your fuel is definitely your compassion for this. So that's a beautiful thing, man.
Thank you so
Daryl,
much.
Daryl, I wish I was in on this some of the pre-productions I don't want to be on, man. But this one, you should have chimed me in on this one, man.
Yeah, man.
I love the topic and the guest. Sister,
Absolutely.
you are an amazing individual. You
Thank
know,
you.
Absolutely. And that is why we're going to propose, and me and Karima have been talking about putting together some short clips,
oh
some
yeah,
other segments. So just to let the audience know that she will be back. We plan to have her on a pretty regular rotation because, as you can hear, she's got a whole bunch of things going on that we want to help promote and get people involved in to help themselves. So we're going to stand behind her and we're going to support her. We're going to have her back giving out more information. We're going to promote some short clips that are just going to be informationally based. So, to your point, that pre production meeting just had me blown away. So I've
yeah.
decided, we gotta start trying to figure out ways where we can get this sister out here in front of the people so that they can learn how to be better men and women in relationships and learn how to be gentle and love on each other. That's what we need more than
I don't
anything.
like General.
You know,
No, I'm just messing with
Gender is you can still be vulnerable and still be strong. Come on, King Henry.
we're gonna work on him, Karima. Karima, we're gonna have to work.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We have to work
Absolutely.
again. But we do have
yeah.
we do have one question that we ask all of our guests. You want to go ahead and ask her, brother?
So if there was anything, I know I mean, you gave us some jewels, you gave us some techniques, exercise, some skills, and you gave us some love and compassion. You gave us the beautiful smile, the
Thank you.
the example from personal experiences with your husband. If there was anything that you could say to a listener or someone that's watching right now, what would it be?
Don't be silent.
Mm,
Don't be silent. Realizing that silence only kills the romance, and it also kills the opportunity to connect, because resentment only builds up over time, and it tarnishes the way we see, the way we experience our partners.
Mm.
Everything that we hear, we see, we are prejudging instead of just and creating assumptions instead of just seeing them and talking to them and being
Wow.
direct about what your
Wow.
needs are. And they can't read your mind, so that's your responsibility to let them know what's going on.
Deep.
So speak up.
Deep.
Wow. Speak up.
Powerful. Yeah.
Very well. Very well
Powerful.
done.
Powerful.
Wow.
Don't yell. Speak up. Don't
Don't
yell, yo.
don't be,
No,
Not
don't
don't be
yelling.
yell. Don't be
abruptly.
an anger
Yeah.
dumper, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely
Anger
let
dumper.
them know what it is that you need.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Wow, this has been amazing. This has been an amazing show. It's been great spending time with Sister Karima and look forward to her coming back to the show.
Thank you for having
I
me.
just this was amazing. Anything you want to add, brother?
New reflections. Cost. This sister here, man. She is a wonderful. You the approval. Not that you needed it, but we stamping it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
you are excellent at what you do. 240-297-9143. Um, hit her up. And stop fronting. Sometimes you need this therapeutic work. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing to talk to a specialist, someone who specializes in this. Now, I get a lot of people contacting me about relationships, so and I deal with it from a numeric perspective. But having you, maybe I can forward some of these individuals to you. A lot of them do not like to, be exposed or have things public and things of that nature. So, just and in respects to that their privacy, with your permission,
Absolutely.
I would love,
Confidentiality is key.
yeah, I would love to send some people over, your way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
Truly do.
oh
And
we
then the
appreciate you.
webinar is available for individuals because it's
Ah,
not therapy, but it's definitely information. Because if we're
yeah.
able to access the information and apply the information, it equals transformation.
Mm.
Mm, mm,
Let's
mm.
see. That's what
So
I'm about. I love transformation.
Me too.
There
You
you
said my
go.
magic word right there, sister.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
mhm,
Oh
That
yeah.
that is what something that I work on every day, transforming myself to be a better person
absolutely.
in all areas of my life. So this has been, quite an amazing show. But I remind folks, she's not done. She'll be coming back with us for more with more information and more special events and all kinds of things of that nature that are gonna ultimately help us become better human beings. I look forward to those to the webinar and to all the other things that you have that are sounding so exciting in the coming future. But it has been. I knew this wasn't going to be enough time.
Hey man.
But
But she,
we bringing
but
her back.
she was using power words, so
Yeah, absolutely,
right to the point. You know what I'm saying? Right
absolutely,
to the point.
absolutely, no
Beautiful,
doubt.
absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sister, beautiful spirit. Um, and that is why it was a pleasure to meet you. And it was definitely a blessing when you reached out to us and said you wanted to come on, because that is what this Love Unity podcast is a real thing. We actually believe in love and unity, and that's kind of what we support in each one of our segments. So it's been a pleasure having you on. Unfortunately, time won't allow us to continue to dig in because I got some more questions, but we'll save them for another segment. Sister Karima, it has been a pleasure having you on the show,
The
and we
pleasure
look
was all
forward to
mine.
more
Thank
endeavors
you.
with you as we move forward into the coming future. Sister Karima Cornelia Stealth, everyone, give her a round of applause. She's been
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Thank you.
Well, brother, that was something exciting.
Man, can't get enough of those type of interviews,
Nah,
man.
absolutely, my
Definitely
brother.
have to definitely have to get her back on and get some of those clips that you was talking about, man. Um, it's just an amazing thing to have, someone who's very compassionate about, her work. So
Absolutely, man. She's an amazing human being, and just when you hear how long she's actually been doing this, her credentials speak for themselves. And then when you
20
finally
years,
get a chance to meet her
yeah,
and you listen to her as she educates and teaches, you kind of realize that she's official, and
Yeah.
that's why it's going to be important for us to continue to create these short clips with her. I'm looking forward to working with her, man. We got a lot of things that we know we've been discussing behind the scenes that we're going to bring to the people. So continue to look for Sister Kareem in the future on WNT9 Talk Radio Love and Unity Podcast. I'm Daryl Divine Finley. That's my man.
King Henry.
Absolutely. And we are appreciative of everyone who was able to join us, catch this on our platforms, get this information. Don't go without it, because it is something that'll help you become a better, more gentle human being. We're going to work on you, brother. We're going to work on you.
Gentle.
Peace out to everyone out
Hardcore.
there.
Yo, peace, brother.
Peace, my brother. We out.
Yeah, we out.